The bottom line simply is this, is that if you are saving dollars, you have a very high probability of going broke in terms of your purchasing power. I believe that gold will have a different role in the United States, but equally as compelling in terms of its monetary future. Massive amounts of silver too, like literally billions and billions and billions and billions and billions every week coming in. And now it's a critical mineral. They just put a floor under the price as far as I'm concerned. Things are different. Kai, for the first time, the focus isn't on U.S. treasuries.
Dollar on the ropes. Andy Schectman says October could flip everything, and if you blink, you'll miss the move. Watch this. Stop scrolling. Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin, just warned the dollar's endgame may start this October. He predicts big moves in silver and gold before 2026, and his very first lines tell you exactly what to do. Stay right here. You don't want to miss a single minute. Imagine waking up tomorrow to a world where the dollar no longer rules global trade, where gold and silver don't just climb, they reprice the entire system. That's not drama. That's Andy Schectman's warning from this interview. He opens with an urgent piece of advice, and later in the video, he walks through the exact market signals that back it up, the flows, the central bank buying, and what October could bring. If you hold metals, think about buying, or run a mining play. This is the one briefing you must hear. Stay with me. The payoff comes within the first minute, and the real strategy he gives will change how you act before 2026.
The best advice would be to not save in dollars, period. Assets are what will save you in this environment. And you can see that in just about everything. Now, real estate might be the one asset that I would not speculate on, certainly. But I do think assets are the place to be. Now, of course, my focus would be on gold and silver, the real value, and platinum. The real value is probably in platinum and silver, although the premiums on the pre-1933 gold coins are the lowest I've seen in my career. There is great value. The real value is in silver. The word is asymmetrical. Low downside, massive upside. The LBMA is almost out of all of their free float of silver, which can just like that trigger contagion and a massive spike on in price. Billions of ounces are coming, or dollars worth of silver are coming into the COMEX every single week, and the U.S. government just reclassified it a critical mineral. Food for thought, but it doesn't have to just be in my universe. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would want to look at cryptocurrencies as a way to shelter from a devaluing dollar. The bottom line simply is this, is that if you are saving dollars, you have a very high probability of going broke in terms of your purchasing power. We've seen that already with 11% decline, but look at what Stephen Miran, the architect of the Mar-a-Lago Accord, who is now on the Federal Reserve and is still an advisor to Trump, his whole idea is to devalue the dollar in order to reshore gold. What did Vice President Vance say? To reshore manufacturing, excuse me. What did Vice President Vance say? Triffin's dilemma, being the world reserve currency, is no longer a good deal for us. It is a subsidy on the consumer and a drag against manufacturing. It's really not a good deal for us. What does Trump say about a strong dollar? Sure, it's great, but you sure don't do a lot of business or have a lot of tourism. They're telling you they want to devalue the dollar. It's the only way to pay off the debt. It's the only way to have any hope of manufacturing success. It is the only path left to take. Now, there's other stuff to that when next time when we get more time, we'll talk about it. But a devalued dollar is in the cards, and so do the best you can to accumulate assets, whatever that means to you. Stay away from holding your wealth in dollars. It's a sucker's game right now. Some of it is, sure. Some of it is. And that's why I go back to what Vince is saying. How much of it is coming in ways that doesn't trigger it that way, using proxy banks, using sovereign wealth funds. And the interesting thing about it is that, you know, when you talk about the worthlessness of the mainstream media, who really hasn't done anything in this country but foment divisiveness, I mean, you would think that when the United States becomes a net importer of gold, going back to any time since World War II, where the amount coming in is that we know of north of 150 billion since November. And you know, there's a lot more in that coming in. But the questions aren't even being asked, who's doing this? And although obviously markets are meant to have anonymity attached to them, but where is really mainstream? Why is it that you have to hear from alternative media that this is going on, and what does it truly mean? I would guess that some of it has shown up. To your point, it did show up, but not all of it is being reported. If the idea was to use gold and reintegrate it into the monetary system, we're seeing it across the global south. really are. We're seeing it massively being reintegrated into the plans, the settlement system of the Shanghai Metals Exchange, expanding their vaults throughout the whole Belt Road Initiative. The first one was built in Hong Kong. The next one is under construction in Saudi Arabia, so that they can trade their local currencies over the M-Bridge technology and settle imbalances like that in gold, where China has now, in an effort to internationalize the yuan and the Shanghai Metals Exchange, made digital yuan immediately convertible into gold, not converting back to dollars. This is going to be the rails of their payment system. I believe that gold will have a different role in the United States, but equally as compelling in terms of its monetary future. And any way you look at it, I just think that gold will be reintegrated into the monetary system. And the fact that the government just made silver a critical mineral here in the United States, we're seeing massive amounts of silver too, like literally billions and billions and billions and billions and billions every week coming in. And now it's a critical mineral. They just put a floor under the price as far as I'm concerned. Things are different. Kai, for the first time, the focus isn't on U.S. treasuries. In fact, the people who promoted it are saying maybe back off and buy gold. The focus isn't on these traditional assets that are now changing, and it just feels different at a level that would perpetuate legitimacy, that would accentuate legitimacy instead of fighting against the wind forever. It's like we got the wind at our back right now from the highest up of the food chain in terms of finances. And nothing substantial. You talk about momentum. Michael Oliver is a very interesting man, and he focuses primarily on momentum in a technical respect. And he said that gold has just blown through a channel, if you will, a annual momentum channel that was broken last month, and he would expect this month, which is ending today or tomorrow, to see another all-time monthly high, as we've already just beaten the intra-month high. He thinks it's just beginning, and his real focus is on silver, and he basically thinks that silver is going to rip the lid off of the market, as he goes on to say it is revising sharply upward in their mind, and that the technicals of both price and long-term momentum, he believes, are telling the market what is already occurring and what's about to occur. A repricing, he says, of silver's reality, whatever that means. So I've never heard him so bullish on silver. He was saying that if it follows the previous cycles of 2010 and 11 or 1979 and 80, you can get as high as $100 or $200 on this move. But it's interesting, if you take the 45-year cup and handle of silver, which is now literally almost a double cup and handle, and 45 years, one of the most powerful technical moves period in technical analysis, the way that you would figure out where the next stop is and or where the target would be, and even if this analyst who was looking at it didn't know what it was, is you take the top of the cup in 1980, goes down to the bottom in the 90s to $4, goes back up to 50 in 2011, comes down and is making that final push. When it gets through that 50 level, you take the distance from top to bottom, which would be 50 to 4, that's 46, add it to the top, 50 plus 46, your next target's $96. That's what Michael is saying right here. 100 plus, he thinks, if compared to 2010 and 11, that's where we'd end up. The markets, for as far back as I can remember, find these big numbers, like gold at 2000, and it would just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. And when it goes through, it's gone. It just depends how many times does it take to challenge it. And I would argue that, 50 is just psychological. If you go back and look at 1980 and 2011, it was a cup of coffee long that it hit 50 for both times. And so what kind of resistance really is there other than, mostly psychological? And, Kai, who the hell knows what real price discovery is in gold and silver? It's not even debatable that the central banks of the West have held down gold and silver for a long time. When real price discovery happens, because I believe that you can only manipulate a market for so long by pushing it in the direction that it is going. And it was easy for the West to do this for a long time. But you have a whole bunch of players around the globe that are coordinated, motivated, sophisticated, wealthy. They know what we're doing by holding down the paper price. They're standing for delivery, largely in London, in order to beat us at our own game. And now the folks in the West here get it. The big traders, either they were tapped on the shoulder and said, start bringing this shit back, pardon my French, and you can call it tariffs all you want to fool the public. It's not tariffs, it's about reshoring. Get it back. And that's what they're doing. Truly, that is what they're doing. And that's why I just think that it's easy for people like you and I and the people listening to this show, Kai, to get wrapped up in recency bias. We've been beaten up so badly over so many years in an environment that was counterintuitive to logic and our belief structure. But our belief structure and logic and mathematics have a way of playing out over time. You can't hide from math. And a lot of this is just simply math and logic, and it's finally playing out. I think the sky's the limit. So will it bounce through 50? Eventually. Will it do it first time? Maybe. Maybe not. It's irrelevant. I think ultimately sky's the limit once it does get through, though.
Andy Schectman just laid it out. The dollar's dominance is cracking. October could be the trigger, and gold and silver may never look back before 2026. The question isn't if, it's when you prepare. If this video gave you value, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss the next urgent update. Because the moves in precious metals are only getting started. And the next interview might just hold the key to what happens next.